metaphor using Maslow's work. My thinking about today's lecture is a continuation of a symposium I organized at the 2004 International Transpersonal Association Conference on Animism, Shamanism, and Ethnobotany, ecopsychology's relationship with the transpersonal. Influential in my thinking was a presentation by Charles Tart, whose new book, The End of Materialism, How Evidence of the Paranormal is Bringing Science and Spirit Together, will be coming out next week. The ideas in Tart's book are vitally relevant to ecopsychology and to the very pulse of the shift in paradigm we find ourselves in at the present moment in the history of ideas. The rear attack, as Tart calls his effort to reform science, as opposed to Houston Smith's frontal attack, not only provides the outline of an essential science, or genuine science, it provides the foundation of a new way of understanding science and spirit that helps to heal the human-nature relationship with our cosmic archetypal origins birthed in the fiery eruption of the Big Bang, and allows us to truly reclaim that original archetypal singularity and transpersonal vision. Abraham Maslow's insight into personality development was to see life as a journey through various stages of growth that he referred to as a hierarchy of needs. This journey begins with the struggles of our physical existence, symbolized by a landscape littered with garbage, a leafless tree, and the skyline of a city polluted with industrial decay. Acid rain and heavy smog are among the many assaults to the well-being of the citizens every day. Motivated by our need for safety, love, belongingness, and self-esteem, we continue down the road of life. These states of personality development are what Maslow referred to as deficiency needs, or D needs, as opposed to being needs. And these D needs are those that are the obstacles or the hazards to be avoided on the road of life. Among these are the environmental crises, familiar messages, a rhetoric of catastrophe, global warming, and so on. A rhetoric of shame, industrial nations consume the majority of the world's resources. A rhetoric of redemption, self-indulgent behavior is morally wrong and bespeaks our need to restore the compassionate wisdom of our awareness. These messages, and those that deny all of these messages, are a daily media mantra. Indeed, all these messages, for and against, focus on the symptoms of the eco-crisis, and not the source creating these crises. Mainstream psychology and our scientific paradigm is responsible for framing this way of characterizing the eco-crisis. But how? Focusing their research on these deficiency needs, behavioral psychologists have sold their knowledge to advertisers. Using the methods of applied behavioral psychology has allowed advertisers to manipulate the obstacles on the road of life, thereby creating many false deficiency needs. Our scientific paradigm and mainstream psychology's methodological agenda is outer-directed. That is, symptoms originate in the external environment as a result of forces outside of ourselves impinging on our sensory receptors that evoke a reflex, instinct, or a reasoned response. The focus has, in other words, been on the behavior, the antecedent consequences of our interaction with the external world. The cure of psychology's first force, behaviorism, and its spin-off, cognitive psychology, has been to extinguish the behavior by changing the cues, rewarding the deviant actions, replacing them with the cues of the dominant culture and those that they deem appropriate. The cure of psychology's second force, or psychoanalysis, which has spun off into various forms of clinical psychology, has been to try to evoke a change in the person's rational or moral compass. Following this roadmap to help travelers avoid life's hazards and avoid the obstacles on our path, including advertisers' creation of false deficiency needs, we struggle to complete our journey to the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain represents what Maslow referred to as self-actualization, or Arnie Ness's self-realization, which symbolizes our having reached all of our life's goals that we have set for ourselves. In addition, self-actualization brings with it an experience of increased self-acceptance and newfound spontaneity, and increasing awareness of ethics, the emergence of an appreciation of self-effacing humor, and appreciation and desire for extraordinary interpersonal relationships, feeling independent from the limitations of our physical environment, and the desire to maintain a certain inner detachment from the culture in which we are immersed, opposed to enculturation and becoming too much a part of the group. And, ironically, self-actualizers are also those that begin to experience a profound connection with all life and a desire to understand the mysteries of the universe. Thus, in opposition to behaviorism and psychoanalysis, medical model, during the spring of 1961, humanistic psychology emerged as the third force led by Tony Sudich and Abraham Maslow. In 1969, humanistic psychology morphed into transpersonal psychology, the fourth force, led by Tony Sudich, Abraham Maslow, and Stanislav Grof. Crying out for a new philosophy of life, transpersonal psychology contextualized the 1960s, which, in morphing again and rallying under the banner of ecopsychology, it sprang even further forward. Echoing these concerns within anthropology, Konstantin Hrishkov has invited our inquiry into envisioning some kind of paradigm to hold together and make sense of the variety of views that SAC continues to embrace within its perspective. Houston Smith refers to this as primordial anthropology, or the primordial tradition. Embracing this tradition is, said Smith, an act of rejoining the human race.